Yes, hi again. It's me again, Khachiyan, and today we'll continue our conversations regarding position sacrifice. And the second game I would like to introduce, it's my game against Joe Banawa, very young talent in California, recently playing very well. And we faced in the last year tournament to Westwood Open. I had black pieces, and I played, as I mentioned, Joe Banawa. So it's a very rare line. In fact, many moves from black side will be okay here. I decided to go with one of the most decent lines or one of the most solid lines because typically what I do, and I believe that's pretty much good advice. If you don't know the rail line, if you don't know the sideline for sure, then don't go inside. Just try to stay away by playing, let's say, solid. And that's what I'm doing right now. Here, I decided to play C6 because I said, you know what, if I go and take the pawn, it's going to be too much theory involved, and I'm not sure about this line. I knew it is line because now that's C3, it's very sharp line. And as I said, if you don't know the line for sure, then go for it. The fact when I played c6, I said to myself, there is no way that move would be bad because c6 move still holding d5 pawn and creating some opportunity for black queen to jump on a5 or b6, and it's still supposed to be fine. I mean, the pawn on f3 is still misplaced, I believed. So c6, not c3, e6. Well, at this point, I knew there is no future for my bishop to stay on this diagonal, and I decided simply to continue my development on the king side. And in case of e5, I wasn't mind to transpose the game to French defense type of position. So I was happy to play 6. In fact, Nazi 3 is still kind of strange because he doesn't have any moves, any attacking pressure. So I thought it's a good move. Now g2. Well, you know what? I expect from my opponent to stay more sharp here. He went g3, but I expect from my opponent to stay more sharp by playing, let's say, queen d2, following by castle queenside, and start to push the pawns. But still, I believe black has so much potential in these positions. They can a little bit hold with castle and king side. They could play, let's say, b6, bishop a6, now d7, and then at the right moment, if they need to make a castle. So it's really like tough to play for both sides of this position because black also very flexible here. So my opponent decided to go pretty much straightforward. He went here g3. I mean, so far so normal looks like. And at this point, it's very important. So I saw the plan. I knew white would try to play castle king side, following probably by e5, then pulling back the bishop on a3, and then playing f4, and then having this very nice pawn structure, and then creating opportunity to play f5. Bishop is doing good on g2. So I said to myself, how can I prove the setup of white is not that good as it seems? And I found the idea because a7 g1 diagonal pretty much weak, and I found the idea to play here. It's c5. Well, many reasons, my friends, many reasons. Like I said, first reason, it's a7 g1 diagonal. The second reason, I prefer, it's not only me, it's a kind of law by Steinitz, by Tarrasch especially, who said always prefer to have your knights behind your pawns. And obviously, we're talking about position for c3, c6, f6, and f3. These positions always preferably to have your knights on it. So that's why I saw the opportunity for me to place my knight on the c6, and I said, you know what? I will play c5, I will strike the center, I will place my knight on c6, and I will create the pressure by this diagonal, a7, g1. So c5, he took, ed. Yeah, that's the most important moment of the game. So here are my thoughts. Okay, I said if I take on d4, then white will take on d4. They will blockade the pawn on d5. My pawn is isolated. They will complete development, and they will have no problem. I mean, they might stay better because they're still holding d4 square. Because in fact, for your knowledge, I mean, guys, my friends, so typically when we're talking about position on d5 as of the pawn, so typically one of the most important minor pieces is supposed to be the bishop, the dark bishop. We're saying light pawn, dark bishop, dark pawn, light bishop. And one of the most important positions for the bishop to stay, it's on c5, because this diagonal become priority for the bishop because he's supporting d4 square. Knight goes on c6, bishop on c5. That's the pretty much position, let's say, from French defense, from Tarrasch defense. So in many lines, in many opening lines, you could see that setup from black side. So I said this too. I'm so behind, and that's going to be better for white. So I refuse. I refuse to play c takes d4. Then I say, okay, so what to do with c5 pawn? If I play c4, then it's even more worse because this is weak pawn structure, especially d5 pawn. He has an attack on d5. He has x-ray by having this bishop. I mean, I didn't like it. So if I play b6, I didn't like it because I was trying to keep this diagonal for my queen, and I wasn't sure, do I need to play b6 or not? But what I saw, he's behind in development. His king still in the middle, right? Now c6, I will sack my pawn positionally, and I played rook e8. Very simple, very simple. And again, what's happening here, I have many hidden threats. Let's say I have an x-ray by e file. I have a potential to play d4. So in many lines, it's going to be dangerous for black to play this line. Let's say maybe if they play here, I could play even this way, for instance, and have a good game. Because if you do go here, bishop c5, now suddenly two white pieces will hang right away, and all by this diagonal. So that's the idea. After some thoughts, my opponent decided to go here, king f1, to stay away from x-ray and to stay away of dark squares. But when I saw this position, I said, you know what? For the pawn, for the cost of the pawn, to have his king in the middle, I'm so happy. So again, as you see, this is positional sacrifice. It's really hard to figure out all these lines, all these variations when you're doing move knight c6, my 11th move knight c6. But like I said, you must have a belief that move's supposed to be right, because you are continuing your plan. You are trying to super on this diagonal a7 g1, trying to use weak squares. And like I said, at this point, since you are playing middle game, you are not supposed to be so much worried about sacrificing a pawn, because you still have a long game to play. It's not like, let's say last stage you're playing end game when every pawn is count. At this point, more important dynamic stuff, dynamic things. And that's why I went for it. I have a feelings, and actually it was absolutely right. So now a second moment here. How to continue my attack, what to do. Yes, I sacrificed the pawn, I had the feelings, all this stuff, I understood what to do, how to play. The first thing first, one of the lessons for you, every time when enemy's king stands on the same line with some of his pieces, try to find a way how you can use it. And I saw immediately E2 knight because I saw that pressure, and I saw most important this part. I figured out my pieces must be involved in a game. B6. Simply open a trade, but after CB, AB, now it comes bishop a6. So what to do? How to deal with that? My opponent went here knight d4. No, first he played here king g1, staying away from the pin. Now simple chess, positional chess. Again, you can say, oh, you know what? It's not right because so black simply give up the pawn for no compensation. But I'll say I'm not really down pawn. I'll say as a black player, black is almost having extra rook because take a look on the of white rooks. They are disconnected. Absolutely. I have easy game. I have a center pawn on d5. I still control d4 square. My bishop on the right position on c5. So I'm still attacking this diagonal, and I'm doing great. So can you feel as a black player you down the pawn? Answer is not, because black is absolutely not feeling the down material. They actually feel they keep pushing, they keep pressing white. So bishop c5. So white is trying to hold the center by playing knight d4. And here I saw one interesting idea. How could I create some very interesting stuff? So what's going on here? It's a d4 square. I have a 2 attacks versus 2 defenses. And I have e file. And that gave me inspiration to find very nice stuff. So I found knight d4, bishop d4, and rook e1 check. So it cannot be called sacrifice. It's more about calculation. But again, the whole thing was right from the beginning. What I did, I sacrificed the pawn by hoping dominating by this diagonal a7 g1, and my dreams come true, because after this move, white might take on e1, he must get back. And now the move I saw, knight g4. An incredible move. So now it's a big trouble, because you can't accept my sacrifice, obviously, because after queen f6, it's a mate. It's almost mate. And this is big threat, not a 3 check, followed by discovery check. So the only move here for him to go is queen d2. That's the only move to create pressure on d4 square. Now again, I can't play slow. Well, this stuff you're supposed to calculate. And what I did when I played rook e1 check, I already saw my continuation. I saw how I'm going to play here. So I saw amazing move. So any move white will do okay except bishop c5. That's quite move actually killing the game, because I'm taking off pressure d4 square from the white queen and white knight. Now I have a big threat, it's knight c4 check. So this diagonal is still very weak for white. And the only move for him to cover the diagonal is to play knight d4 to blockade the diagonal temporarily. And now, since white has a move c3, I have no choice. And actually I saw that. So it's knight c2. Again, no silly stuff. No playing bishop d4, giving up your bishop and hoping to equalize the game, because I haven't played this line. I haven't played the sacrifices to equalize the game. I play this for attack. And again, I don't care about to take back my material, because I believed my bishop c5, it's a much higher value than one of his rooks. So I took on c2. My bishop's still alive. And now it's simply hunting party. So queen e7 check. Yeah, here I believe I took a pause, because when I played rook e1 check on move 18, I reached this position in my calculation, and I said to myself, okay, So what do we got? We have here black down exchange, but king on d1. Rook are still separated. I have two mighty bishops, and his bishop still not working. There is no way. It has to be something. Again, it's called positional sacrifice, guys. So I haven't seen the whole line from the beginning. And I wouldn't bother myself to actually force myself to calculate until end the whole thing. Because I felt this way. By being down just exchange, by having his king in the middle, having his rook separated, having his bishop bet on g2. There is no way. It has to be something. And let me get there, let me reach a position, and then since I will be able to observe position easily and better, I will find a way how to finish how to finish white off here. So after king d1, I took my time and I found pretty much straightforward way how to finish the game. I went here rook e8. The idea is very simple. I'm trying to create more pressure by e-file. And now many things is coming up. Let's say one of them is jumping on e2 by bishop or e3 squares. So a lot of pressure is going on here. I think the only move here to play that's happening in the game, he went here queen d2 to still be close to the king and trying to create another escape for the king to go on c2. And after bishop e2 check, it's important check. Well, obviously you can't go king c1 because bishop e3 pinning the queen. So they only move king c2. And finally queen c5 check. Now you can't go king b3 because after this it's almost mate. So only move to go here king b1. And now the last accord, a last move, it's queen c4. That's the move took me some time when I played rook e8. That's the move I missed in my, let's say, I haven't seen it from the far, but as soon as I reached position after queen e7 check, before I played move 27 rook e8, I saw queen c4. I said game is over because it's a very big threat on d3. Rooks are still separated as you see, and I don't think so it's possible to defend d3 square. I mean, they lost. They simply lost because it looks like the only move to go here it's rook d1 to defend d3 square. And then at least I have bishop d1, queen d1, and rook e2. And now unstoppable, rook takes b2. So yes, game is over. Again, what do you see? It's simply it's called, like I said, positional sacrifice. But what I did, I believed I'll be able to use a7 g1 diagonal, because what I saw immediately after opening part, the pawn on f3 making weak the position of the king and making weak g1 a7 diagonal. And that was my concern, how to get there, how to use it. And again, at this point, for me, being down a pawn wasn't really the big deal, because I understood by cut of the pawn, I'll be able to create huge pressure and I'll be able to create attack. And since I want to fight for the center, since my pawn still remain in the center, then I want to fight for d4 square. So all this stuff, it's just your beliefs and your skills. So I hope you still like it and understood this lesson, and we will continue to talk about this theme in our next lessons. Thank you. Have a nice day.